Jack Ebling here with Dan Kilbridge, and we are at Scandalaris Center. Press coverage before Purdue, Michigan State, game 11. And Purdue, kind of a funny team, Dan, had all kinds of injury problems. Keith Smith getting injured right at the beginning of the season. Arguably the best receiver in the Big Ten, had a lot of running back issues as well, and gone through a bunch of quarterbacks too.
Right, at the beginning of the season, I thought they were a middle-of-the-road Big Ten team given what they did last year. But when you lose your starting quarterback, that really makes things tough on you. And they lost Robert Marve very early in the season. You can only imagine where other teams would be in the Big Ten without their starting quarterbacks. So I think Purdue's offense has really faltered. They've had 4 different guys under center this year taking turns at quarterback, and none of them has had great success. So it'll be a tough go for them this season.
Trying to get it done last week with a little different look, throwing the ball more against Michigan. That did not work. But I think that they're going to go back to try to run the ball, and we know who their quarterback's going to be Saturday.
Yeah, Rob Henry is going to start at quarterback for the Boilermakers, and he is a runner. He actually leads the team in rushing touchdowns with 3, so he can move a little bit. Redshirt freshman. It's a better option than the true freshman they started at quarterback last week, Sean Robinson. So I think maybe he gives them, just that wild card, being able to run and take off if you see something and guarantee yourself a little bit of success there.
He can run a lot. I think he's one of the 3 best running quarterbacks in the Big Ten. I don't know if he can throw the ball at all. He's got an arm injury as well, non-throwing hand. And so that's going to be very, very difficult for Purdue to score a lot of points against Michigan State. But Purdue capable of generating points off turnovers, and when you talk about Ryan Kerrigan, he's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, he's just an absolute monster. Leads the Big Ten in so many categories. It's hard to keep track. I mean, he leads the conference in sacks. He's got 12 sacks on the year, 25 tackles for loss, and 5 forced fumbles. You just cannot measure that impact from the defensive line. Now, luckily for Michigan State, I think they've played standout defensive ends very well over the course of the past 2 years with guys like Adrian Claiborne. And last year, they held Brian Kerrigan to only 2 tackles. So it seems like they've got a good game plan for guys like Kerrigan.
Yeah, and I think Kerrigan, he is national leader in fumbles forced for a career. Might be the Big Ten Player of the Year overall. Last year, Brandon Graham got it for a losing team at Michigan, so there's no reason that Ryan Kerrigan shouldn't be considered. And when you look at individual excellence, he's done as much for that team as anyone could.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just with the way the offense has been, they only scored 16 points against Michigan last year. That's got to be the equivalent of getting shut out by a lot of schools in the Big Ten. But their defense has put them in some ball games. They've won 2 Big Ten games, and I think that's really what they're focusing on right now is the defense.
A healthier Michigan State team, really the only loss, William Golston with the fracture. Shoulder injury. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. Should be back for spring ball. At least that's the hope. But senior day at Michigan State, that's always important and very important to this group coming in. And you talk about 4-year periods at Michigan State. You haven't found any that have done better. And I don't just mean the first 4 years of Mark D'Antonio. We're talking about any senior class that's come in. You're talking about an awful lot of victories.
Right, they stand at 31 right now, and that's tied for the MSU school record with the 1990 class. They have a chance to surpass that this week with a win over Purdue. And as you mentioned, senior day, a lot of festivities, a lot of joy going on, people getting their recognition, guys like Greg Jones, Charlie Gant, Aaron Bates, some of the best in this class. But unfortunately, Mom and Dad aren't going to help you block Kerrigan, so you better be ready to go once the whistle blows.
Well, Eric Gordon's going to have a record for starts and victories. He's going to have a lot of things going for him. Greg Jones also, but Gordon has actually started more games. And if you look at what Aaron Bates has done, he's going to be very difficult to replace, I think, next year, not just his punting, but everything else that he's brought to the table. Tremendous holder. And if you look at guys like Chris L. Rucker, I know it was very important to Mark D'Antonio to get him back, give him some recognition. It'll be interesting to see how the crowd reacts to him.
Absolutely. I think it'll be favorable. This is a pretty forgiving fan base, I tend to think. And, you look at guys like Greg Jones, but there's also guys who maybe you can't measure statistically, quite like that. I mean, Aaron Bates, he's going to be punting on Sundays. He's just been fantastic all year long. And Charlie Gant, maybe not the receiving numbers he's had in years past, but you cannot measure his run blocking. He's one of the best run blocking tight ends in the Big Ten, maybe even the country, and they're going to miss him out of that tight end spot, that's for sure.
You have John Stepak, and you have DJ Young up front. Of course, Mark Dell talked about that a little bit earlier. And you got guys on the defensive line as well who have done a great job of holding up and really come through the program and gotten better, just as this Michigan State team has. Be interesting to see what the crowd support is Saturday, regardless of the weather. Very important game for Michigan State. 2 to go to share a Big Ten championship or own it outright
Right.
for the first time in 20 years. Prediction time, Dan. We are here with 2 games to go, and I still haven't missed. Something tells me I'm not going to miss this week either. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, this is an easier one to call. I'm going to go with Michigan State 31, Purdue 7. I think the offense comes out fired up on senior day and clicking, and this defense shouldn't have too much trouble containing those Boilermakers.
I'm going to say Michigan State 34, Purdue 13, and we'll be back tomorrow after the game. Jack Ebling and Dan Kilbridge here at the Scandalaris Center. Press coverage for SpartanTailgate.com.